Welcome back to the New Roots Rundown with Payton Burdette, where we try our best to cover all things new country, bluegrass, Americana, and folk music. Today, I am joined by an artist based out in Louisville, Kentucky. His name is Earl Bowman. Earl, thanks for being here.
I'm so glad to be here. I appreciate you just inviting me and support my stuff. It really means a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the album Wannabe, which came out back in the beginning of April. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But first, Earl, tell us just kind of how you got into this whole music thing in the first place.
I mean, I've always been interested in music, even as a kid. Like it was kind of a dream to do music, but I'm honestly kind of a shy person. So I never really did anything with it until I was older. I really I went to my first open mic in 2020, right before COVID. And then the world kind of stopped and I didn't really know what to do for a while. But I knew I really wanted to dive in more to music. So I wrote a couple songs and then I put out an EP. But yeah, I'm kind of new to stuff. So like 2020 is when I first did anything. And then kind of took it more seriously around 2022.
That's poor timing having your first open mic at the start of
Yeah, it
2020.
was, yeah, it was terrible.
Were you kind of anxiously waiting for things to like open back up again just so you could hop back into it?
Yeah, for sure. Because it took when I go to open mics and stuff, I do all originals, and so it takes kind of a lot of courage to really do any open mic. But when you're doing original stuff, I mean, it does take a little guts. And I finally worked up the courage to play some tunes, and then, like I said, the world just stopped. And yeah, it took a while for things to open back up and to kind of know what to do. It was really kind of I felt like I dove into music and then there was nothing to do. And so, yeah, it took me a while to even write some songs. I kind of just hung around at the house. I worked all through COVID. And so I really didn't do a whole lot with music until like at least, a year and a half into the pandemic until things started opening back up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was really nothing to do. So that makes sense. Talk to me a little bit just about like the Louisville music scene. I'm really curious because obviously every city from Nashville to Louisville, from Cincinnati to Columbus, every city has a very unique music scene, music culture. So tell me a little bit about Louisville and what you love so much about the music scene there.
Yeah, I think the thing that I love most, and I would venture to say that most people from here would say the same thing, is it really is a community. Like people aren't here to try to one up you or put you down to get themselves up. Like really everyone's very, very supportive, and that's really what got me into music. Like I said, I'm a little bit shy, and so when I first came out, it was the supportive people in the open mic scene that really like pushed me to do more things and to kind of start my own act. But yeah, I mean, it's a great scene here. There's all kinds of incredible acts, especially in the Americana genre. It's cool to just be part of it because it is really supportive. We're all here to kind of stick up for each other and do shows together. We want everyone to succeed. I think that's the main thing about Louisville is it's not really a competition. We really want everyone to do the best they can do.
Yeah, everyone's there to support each other. That's really cool. Let's talk a little bit about your album Wannabe. It came out on April 4th, which is actually my birthday, so great timing.
Oh, yeah, it's my sister's birthday too. A happy late birthday to
There we go. It's a good day to be born.
you.
I'm curious just about the album name. The album's called Wannabe. You're an independent artist, kind of working his way up. Why did you want to call the album Wannabe? I'm just really curious.
Yeah, and so there's a song on the album called "Wannabe," and it's kind of about wondering if people are thinking the same things that you're thinking, and I think a lot of times in music, a lot of us feel like a wannabe or a poser a little bit, and that's kind of what it's about is just kind of yeah, feeling like I think everyone who does art at some point in time just feels a little bit like a poser, and that's kind of what it was about because I definitely feel that way sometimes, and so. I had 8 songs to choose for the album title. Like I was gonna title it one of the tracks, and "Wannabe" just seemed to fit kind of what I was feeling and what I think the album goes for.
Yeah, totally. I think for me, lyrically, one of the songs that stands out the most to me is the closing track on the album called "So Stoned." I love that song. You capture a lot of things. You capture the mundanity of life. Um, I think in like that first verse, you're kind of reflecting on the past, and then in the second verse, you're kind of talking about how you're a bit fearful of the future. And the conclusion of the song is, "I don't know, and I'm high," which is so beautifully human and so relatable. What were you trying to accomplish with that song? And I'm just like curious about like your thought process while writing it.
Yeah, and so I mean, kind of like if you listen to the tune, like the first line is the dog's asleep on the sofa. I was in my living room. I was high, and I was just kind of writing about what was going on in the room, what was going on in my head. And just kind of, yeah, thinking about life and just being stoned is really, it's a simple song, but that's really all it's about is just kind of what I was going on in my head in that moment. I feel like anyone who partakes in smoking will tell you time kind of ceases to be a thing whenever you're stoned. And when I wrote that song, time wasn't a thing.
Mhm.
I was just in the living room, picked up the guitar. I had that chord progression for a while, and it was one of those things where I feel like when you as a songwriter, songs either come out one of two ways. You really sit and like work at it and really take it line by line, or it all kind of comes at once. And this song just all came at once, and it's one of my favorite ones on the album. I'm glad you like it because if you listen to the album version, all the songs on there except for that one was a studio band, but I used my live band for that track,
Hmm.
and I'm glad that you enjoyed it because I feel like it came out pretty good, and I think it captured kind of the spirit of that song.
Yeah, totally. And I think some like the last, I think some like the final line on that second verse talked about like the fear of becoming a what's his name. And so it's so
Yeah,
fitting just with the album being called Wannabe and you're still kind of reflecting on that even in the final song.
yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely. I thought it was a good kind of end for the album. Like I kind of, and I bookended the album. Like I waterfalled singles, and so I gave out of the 8 songs, I had 6 released as singles, and then I kind of bookended it with the first song of the album, and then that song, "So Stoned." And I love playing that song. I feel like I don't consider myself like a singer-songwriter type writer, but that song, when I wrote it, I felt like I was kind of in the zone. So I'm really glad you enjoy that one because, like I said, it's definitely a little different than some of my other stuff. So thank you.
Yeah. I was going to ask you also about the title track, This Ride. That song feels like an album opener. When you wrote it, were you intending it to be like the opening song, or at what point in the process did you figure that
Not at
out?
all. And so I wrote that song. Like the first line of that song is, "Should I get away? My therapist thinks that I need some
Hmm.
space from the day to day." And I just gotten off another Zoom meeting with my therapist that day, and it was a new lady that I hadn't seen before, and she was kind of kooky. And I just sat down at the piano. And I just wrote that song again. It kind of all came out at once, and I kept that song in my pocket a long time, like during my live shows. And when I'm playing, I always play acoustic guitar, but I wrote it on the piano. So I've never played that song out live. But when we were making the album, I needed an opener, and I had a few songs to choose from. But this, I just kept coming back to that one, and it's very different than some of my other writing. And I felt like it was a perfect opener, just with the kind of slow piano part, and then and it building. I don't know. I'm glad that you enjoyed that tune because it is a little different than some of my other stuff, and it wasn't something that I was sure I wanted to share, or if it was something that I kind of had just written for me as like a cathartic experience. But I'm glad that it ended up on the album. I felt like it was a good fit.
Be sure to check out Wannabe, available now on all platforms. There's also a CD and vinyl version of it. I was going to ask you too about the show you host called Top Hill Recording. It's a very
Yeah.
unique show, very locally based, it seems like. Can you just tell the audience a little
Yes.
bit about what that is?
Myself and a guy named Neil Johnstone co-host a podcast called the Top Hill Recording Podcast, and basically we have both local and regional acts come on once a week. They play 4 songs, all recorded in a room in one take with one microphone, which is unique, and then we do an interview. But my favorite part, I love the interviews. It's fun to talk to people, but the music and recording stuff on the one mic is so cool to me. We've gotten some great recordings in that room with just the one microphone. It takes a lot of time and setup to get everything right because when you record with one mic, it needs to be in the perfect place.
Hmm.
But yeah, we've had all kinds of acts on there, but it's mostly local, but it's regional as well. We've definitely had people from Nashville and other places around Indiana and stuff. It's mostly here, but it's almost like a rite of passage here in Louisville as a musician to be on the Top Hill show. And so it's cool to be part of it. I've been part of it now for almost 2 years. I first came on as a guest. It's fun to host. We actually had one tonight, but I did this instead. So
Oh, well, I appreciate you picking this. We'll have artists come in and play, and we just have a one mic setup as well. It's very unique. It's something different people don't see too often.
they don't. No, it's really cool. And I feel like you can really capture stuff with just the one mic and get some really good recordings.
Earl Bowman, the album Wannabe is out now. Earl, tell us about any upcoming shows you got going on and just where people can find you.
Yeah, and so you can find me anywhere on social media. I'm kind of old for TikTok, but I'm on TikTok too. It's just Earl Bowman Music on everything. You can find me or on anywhere you listen to music, it's Earl Bowman. As far as shows go, I'm playing a local show here on Friday at it's like a coffee shop type place called the Cave Valley Kava. Very nice folks over there. It's be pretty chill. And then I have a full band show I'm a little festival in Indiana in a town called Marengo on June 20th, and that's full band.
Earl, thank you so much for being here. I had a lot of fun chatting with you. Be sure to find him on Instagram, Facebook. He's on TikTok as well at Earl Bowman Music. Earl, thanks for being here and have a great day, man.
Yeah, you too, man. I appreciate you.